So let's move on to the ad hoc committee. Before we go into the nitty-gritties, I feel it's one of the most, with all due respect, useless committees that Parliament has ever, with all due respect again, wasted all of us our monies on. Why am I saying that? I believe so.
No, I think you should capture it in a proper perspective, so it's not taken out of context.
Okay. I feel
it's a useless committee in terms of what? How? Because
that's what I was going to
it's a legal establishment.
Yes. I think that it is one of the most, I don't know how the word to use, whether I should say useless, because I feel it didn't get the effect that they wanted to get.
Okay, so I think you should change from useless
to what?
To maybe another. Maybe it hasn't served the purpose for which
so
you were expecting, but
one
not
of the committees that have not served its purpose, as I would expect. Why am I saying that? When you go to our constitution, which you opened for me nicely, Article 82, sorry, it sets out how a minister should be censured, the censure and what motion. My interest is in 82.5, where it states that where a vote of censure is passed against a minister under this article, the president may, underline may.
Article 88.
82.5.
82, okay.
Unless the minister resigns his office, revoke his appointment as a minister. So we go through all this process. You put the minister there, you bring out your allegations, albeit baseless. He also puts out whatever he wants to put out. You go back to the plenary, is that the word?
Plenary.
Plenary. You go back there. And let's assume that you even agree that the minister, a vote of censure is taken against the minister. Our constitution has been crafted in such a way that the final power still lies in the president. The constitution says he may.
Is that why you think this is a
So I believe that from everything that has gone on, from what the president said, from all the issues that has gone on in relation to the finance minister, this particular committee, with all due respect, in our present situation, that we are all trying to forget ourselves out of the economic issues we find ourselves, I don't think it was a very useful venture. But Parliament is a master of its own rules. Parliament has a right to have its committees. As I said, it is my personal opinion. So, be it as is may, they've had the committee. We've all seen, or we all heard, the protagonist? Is that the word that he used? Mm-hmm. The proponents. The proponents, those who sponsored
the motion.
We had them on Wednesday. They came to put out all the allegations. And then on Thursday, we heard from the petroleum, the people in charge of our petroleum resources, and GMPC, PIAC and GMPC. They also brought out, they came to answer. And then a letter was sent to the finance minister saying that he doesn't have to answer to those allegations. That was the second point. Let's not forget.
The allegations PIAC made.
Yes, the allegations they made on PIAC and GMPC's issue. They sent a letter to him that he doesn't need to respond to that. Let's not forget that on Monday too, the very first allegation about conflict of interest was struck out because apparently it is the charge that can listen in. So I'm still wondering if the minority will take it to charge. I think they should.
They may. I don't know. I haven't spoken to them.
They should, because we cannot allow it to go like that. So they should. So 2, 1 and 3 were taken out. The rest, the finance minister was there on Friday. And for me, I think he acquitted himself. He gave all the answers. You may not agree with the answers, but I believe he did well. One thing I do admire about our finance minister is I believe he has ice running in his veins, because in the face of provocation, insult, calm, stoic. May God grant us all that ability. It's one thing I really do admire about him. I believe that demeanor and his posture took away a lot of things, and we're able to focus on what the issues were. And he focused and he gave us the answers. For me, I believe he gave excellent answers to what I heard.
Also using the word excellent.
Yes, to what I heard. I didn't listen to all of them. I believe he did. I mean, when you make an accusation, let's remember, a censure motion is not a funny thing. It tells on your integrity as the person who is being censured, your life's work, everything you have done in your professional career, everything you've done as a person, and if not handled too well, you go down the annals of history as the person who is described as in the censure. For me, I remember saying that immediately the censure motion was made against him, he had to stay and defend himself. I believe everybody has to have a right to defend himself. So for me, I think he defended himself quite well. As I said, you may not agree with what he said, but then that's your cup of tea or whoever's cup of tea. At least he got the opportunity to explain things to us. And one of the things I took out of that whole thing, and I admire, is his ability to stand provocation. I believe he has ice running in his veins, because it was something else. I mean, things coming left, right, front. Perfect. I believe his team too was good. His team from the ministry too, they gave him quite good information. I did see Mother Eva Menz, I saw all of them going up and down. So for me, I think he acquitted himself well. Now let's go down to are we discussing the district, the common fund issue that you mentioned? With everything that I have read and heard, Dr. Ayini was asking about whether the 5% had been paid. And I believe he was saying that the finance minister was saying that it had been calculated, so they know, that was for the year he mentioned, how much of our revenues. By the law, it is 5%. Mm-hmm. He cannot cap the 5%. You cannot cap it. That is what the law says, that you should give 5% of our taxes and our resources to the district assembly common fund. Is that it? Mm-hmm. Good. Now the thing is, when you finish calculating the 5%, whether you have the ability to pay, that is also another matter. And I believe that's where the finance minister was coming from. That even though it was calculated, he didn't have the ability to pay.
What's the meaning of ability to pay?
The fact that you have calculated that by law, I have to pay you, Annie, a certain amount of money from a certain business we have run. By law or by agreement, you are supposed to take 5%. So every year I'm supposed to calculate 5% of whatever it is.
Of total revenue.
Of total revenue and give you. Now in a particular year, even though we have calculated it and we know I'm supposed to give you 10,000 cedis, I couldn't give you 10,000 cedis. Because? I gave you 1,000 cedis because I didn't have the money. I mean, that is what I am, the explanation I am taking from what he said.
Let me ask
because I saw that is what turns into the arrears.
Yeah, so if
that I do owe you.
But if you say total revenue,
yes,
and you have been able to generate some amount of money, regardless how the country is struggling with the total revenue we're supposed to, or we even actually expected to generate, and we couldn't generate. The law says total revenue. So whichever amount that comes in, you take out your 5% first before you start distribution to others.
Well, I believe that this is more of an administrative thing. But for me, the fact that it has been calculated and we know how much the district assemblies are supposed to get. In a particular year, some they get, some they don't. But it is all considered as arrears, meaning it will have to be paid. We cannot keep them. It is for them and it is for the development of the district assemblies. I really do not get the misunderstanding here.
Debates
I don't get it. Is it that Dr. Aini feels that the 5% wasn't properly calculated, or they didn't calculate it, or they didn't pay everything that they were supposed to pay. Is that it? If that is it, I believe the finance minister he did not deny that they were entitled to the 5%. He said yes, that is the law. It should be given to them. And with the recent court case, the ruling from, is it Podo and
Attorney General?
Yes, Benjamin Podo and Richard Kwashigami, that's the word, that is it. I don't know if that is it. But Attorney General and Podo, per the ruling, it has been confirmed that 5% is for the district assembly. Now, whether we have the capability at any particular time to pay that money, that is why district common assembly funds are in arrears. And let's remember, it's not just the district assembly common funds that are in arrears, as admitted by the finance minister. A lot of payments are in arrears, and they are paid as and when the country gets money to pay up. So honestly, I do not see the unconstitutionality here. I do not see the law that has been broken, honestly.
And you see that if you check, in fact, by my check, you realize that if total revenue comes in, the finance minister starts distribution, and he distributes to maybe projects or sectors at his will. When he is supposed to distribute, because the District Assembly Common Fund aids with decentralization.
And then the distribution is also by law, isn't it?
By law.
Who gets what is determined by our laws. I believe we have our financial laws. We have different kinds of laws pertaining to different kinds of organizations and what they should get and how they should get it. So for me, I believe the job of the finance minister is that is a job. Look at who needs what, when, and then gives it to them. My argument here with this whole process is it that the 5% that is supposed to go was not calculated? If it has been calculated, and we all know how much it is supposed to go, and at that particular time there's no money to pay, it runs into arrears. Is there something wrong with having arrears? I don't think so. So for me, I don't get it. So
if you pick the Constitution, what the Constitution says you should do, and you say that you're paying because of the amount of money you've been able to gather in terms of total revenue, and you pay less.
He hasn't paid.
Is that breach of the Constitution?
I don't think so. The fact that he paid what was available, and he hasn't paid the rest, doesn't mean it's not going to be paid. I thought he said they are in arrears. And you just mentioned that some of the arrears had just been recently paid. So arrears would be paid. And that is why I said I do not get the arguments going on. Is it that we are accusing the finance minister of not calculating well compliance? Is it that he didn't calculate the 5%? Or he did calculate it but he couldn't pay?
The formula does not even lie. The formula lies with the administration of common fund. They will bring the formula.
So whichever formula they brought
but then it's amount
in that
5%.
particular year that he said there were arrears, that should tell you that at that particular moment when they were paying, there was money available and they paid. If there's no money available, for me, I believe it goes into arrears. We have arrears with school feeding program. We have arrears with all other statutory payments. When money does come in, you hear that they've been paid, and they've been paid. So where is the problem here?
Let me come to Joyce. And there's this school feeding program and other, policies are, I think, where my problem lies, because they seem to be a priority of government. And so if you're not careful, government will be issuing finances to those projects and then will leave district assemblies hanging. Meanwhile, they are in charge of decentralization. All these policies are supposed to be handled by the district assemblies. So
the school feeding is supposed to be handled by district assembly. It's not under the district assembly.
Why is it not? The question is, why is it not? Why is it not? So that it's handled from the central government. Why is it not decentralized as a policy, as a project, so that all these, confusion about distribution of finance or funds will be handled by those who are directly responsible?